A-star reads, and it's finally time to catch up. It's finally time to do a Sunday sum up. So I've had a lot of adventures the last couple of months. This summer has been going by very quickly, but I've also been doing a lot. It's been wonderful. I've seen a lot of great friends, I've done a lot of traveling, and I can't wait to share some of that with you, as well as, of course, what we're here for, books. And so I have been recording the books that I've been reading as I've been going along. Granted, some of these reviews will be a bit later than when I actually read them, but they're coming to you now, so I'm not going to say exactly when I finish these books, but if you're interested, there is always a link to my Goodreads down below in the description box. You can go and see when I complete books, and that way you'll know when I actually got these ones done. I have so much footage that I don't know how many book reviews or footage I'm going to get into this video, but we'll see. We'll see as we go along, and at the end I will give you an update on what I'm currently reading and where I'm at with my reading at the moment. And of course, anything that doesn't actually make it into this video will make it into subsequent Sunday sum ups.
It's upside down.
No, it's not.
It's upside down on my side.
No, it's not here.
Oh, you want me to shake it for me?
That's good.
I'm too weak.
This is embarrassing. I'll cut that part out.
Oh,
Don't worry.
this does not work.
Wow. Okay.
Pull it over there. Okay, ready?
Yeah. Yay! Okay, so let's talk about House of Earth and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. This is my biggest surprise of the year so far because I wanted to read this for the reason that most people want to read it. They've got FOMO, they've heard such great things about it, and most of the people they know have loved it. And so I was very excited. And I've never read anything by Sarah J. Maas, so I was excited for that as well. And then I started reading it, and I didn't like it. The characters were incredibly unlikable at the beginning for me, to the point where I don't want to read from them. And then the writing was very, I don't know, it was hard. It was difficult for me for some reason. Not that it was difficult writing, just that it was really hard for me to get into a groove with it. Didn't feel smooth. I didn't feel like I was enjoying the transitions, and I felt like because of that, it was taking me a while at the beginning to just try to get from chapter to chapter. The chapters aren't very long in this book, so if I was struggling that much, I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. But I was buddy reading this with Di from Dee's 19 Hearts, and she had a very similar feeling at the beginning as I did. But we just continued on. We're like, we'll just take it chapter to chapter. The addition of Hunt as a character really made a difference in the way that I felt about a lot of the other characters, and then all the characters started to grow. I really fell in love with Bryce, our main character. I really fell in love with Rune, and I wasn't sure I was going to like that group of Fae. Then there was Danica, and just all my thoughts about Danica and the other werewolves, I was like, I don't know about these people. And yet, everything changed. Everything changed throughout this book. There is a mosquito that is attacking me, and I'm just trying to get away from it. So at the beginning of this, Bryce is someone who likes to drink, do drugs, party all the time. She looks hot, she dresses hot, and she is basically just this party girl. She really was. And I know that we learn differently in the future, but I think that because of things that happened in her life throughout this book, I think that she did change in a lot of ways. And so when we first meet her, that's all you really know about her, is just she's this party girl. And I was so irritated with her so much in the beginning of the book. Something very early on happens that just devastates her, and it causes her to be in basically depression and a big funk for 2 years. And after that 2 years, she's not coming out of her funk, but something similar to the big thing that happened is starting to happen again. The Archangel Micah and the angels are needing her help to try and solve this mystery as to what is going on, what is causing all these problems. She's paired up with Hunt. At one point, Hunt was part of this revolution against the veneer, against the Asteria, against the people who were oppressing humans and other veneer, people who were at the top and were basically treating everybody else horribly. And unfortunately, it wasn't successful, so he is a fallen angel. Okay, I'm inside because the forest is not a happy place to be right now. I got at least 5 bug bites while I was out there, and the flies were driving me nuts. It wasn't a good place to be. Bryce and Hunt are tasked to search for this stolen Fae artifact, for one, which could cause a lot of problems, and also to figure out who stole it and why murders have been happening. So I'm not going to get much more than that because I feel like this book is fun to uncover those things as you go along. I will say, though, that if you're not enjoying this at the beginning, and this might not be true for everyone because there's going to be some people who are not going to like it at all, but I say give it time because it was surprising to me, and it was incredible how much my feelings for this book changed. Now, oftentimes when I'm not enjoying a book so much, but I still love it at the end, I still end up taking some points off, some stars off with my rating because I feel like I have to take into consideration how I was feeling at the beginning of it. But this book changed my opinion so much, and there were moments of it that were so incredible for the emotional impact it had on me, for just the shock and awe of what is happening. Like the action scenes, the things that happen later on are so surprising, so fantastic, so fun, just so fun, that I had to go with my gut. My gut was that this book deserves 5 stars. So I'm really happy that we actually ended up sticking this book out because it's something that we wouldn't have known would have been this great if we hadn't continued on. And I think that the trajectory of this, how much both Di and I enjoyed it, was very similar. Watching the two of us kind of go from, ugh, I don't know about this, to wow, and then just having such great conversations about it. It was a blast. Like, that was so fun. And this was a fun book to buddy read. We had a really good time buddy reading. We had a lot of little thoughts and ideas, and it was really nice to see Sarah J. Maas tie things together later on because there were little tidbits, little hints, little things left at the beginning that were very unfinished. And I know Di struggled with that a little bit at the beginning. She's like, I just want to know what's going on. And yet we did find out the reason that those little hints were left earlier on. And it was fun to uncover those things later on in the book. The things that Sarah J. Maas did really well in this book were, one, pacing. Her pacing was incredible, which made some of the chapters really impactful. You get to these chapters, things are happening, and she does a great job of, ramping things up, getting to a point where you're like, whoa, and these climaxes are really incredible. It's not like you get disappointed at the climax. The climaxes are mind-blowing sometimes, and you're like, did that just happen? Wait a minute, did that just happen? And so she knows how to pace things. She knows how to pull at your heartstrings and slow the pace down, stretch out certain scenes longer to give you those emotional impacts. Or she knows how to speed it up at the right pace when it comes to action scenes and then put those little punches in there. She just has a really great way with pacing. I thought that was really impressive. And then the emotional scenes were really emotional. She did a great job of isolating those scenes so that you felt the importance of them and giving them the attention that they needed so that your mind had time to really sit with the emotions of the characters and understand why it was so sad. There was one scene in particular that the way the characters focused on what had happened and gave tribute to what had happened was so emotional that I just was crying. I was crying because you felt the intention behind what she was trying to do in that scene, how she was trying to get you to feel those emotions. So I felt like that was really clever. And then, like, the surprises. She surprised me. She absolutely surprised me. And she did a great job of taking characters that I really did not like and creating these amazing characters that in the end I thought were very strong characters. So so many things about this were fantastic, and I am glad I gave it the time because otherwise I would have probably DNF'd it, to be honest, because I really was not enjoying it at the beginning. So I'm very happy that I did sit down and read House of Earth and Breath. Very excited to read more of Sarah J. Maas, including the second book in this series, House of Sky and Breath. Yeah, and see what happens next with these characters that I now love. So hopefully it'll just be this smooth transition into these characters that are amazing. I already love them. I don't have to try and reestablish relationships with them. And of course, I've always wanted to try her ACOTAR series, and I've heard amazing things about Throne of Glass. These are books that I will give a chance now in the future because I enjoyed this one so much. I also wanted to say that this was a gift from Kaylani Simply Me. She was doing a giveaway when she won her game, and her game is fantastic. So it's basically bingo. I will link her
her channel down below so you can go check it out. And so every other time she finishes her game, she either does a giveaway or she buys herself a book. And it just so happened that I won the giveaway round. And because she saw this on my wish list, she got it from me because this was her favorite book. And I can see why. It was fantastic. So I'm very thankful, Kaylani. Thank you so much for this amazing book. And I can't wait to get on to the next one. So it is time for me to review A History of Wild Places by Shea Ernshaw. Now, I picked this one up as an audiobook because when I was looking on Scribd, it was one of the ones that came up on my, like, we recommend this for you. And it's a book that I've been interested in reading for a while. Also, I have felt, and have said in previous videos, that I think that my sweet spot for audiobooks might actually be thriller mysteries or mystery thrillers. This was more mystery, not so much thriller. I guess there was some thrilling moments of it. So I think I'm going to rate this a 3.75 stars. And I did really enjoy a lot of elements to it. I thought the audiobook was fantastic. There were 4 different narrators and they did an amazing job. I really enjoyed the way the narration was used in this. And I felt like it was clever the way it was used to enhance the story. So when we start out this story, we are focused on 2 characters, Travis Wren and Maggie St. James. And Travis is a man who is haunted by his past, and he's basically traveling around the country trying to get away from the pain of his past and things that have happened in his life. And in the past, he has helped police and different families try and find their loved ones, people who've gone missing, because he has this ability to touch items and he can remember what happened to the person who last owned that item. Like, he can see snippets of situations that person has either gotten into or what they have done last. But he has given up this job for the time being because he's, like I said, just trying to run away from the demons that are haunting him, in a sense. Not real demons, you know, like emotional demons. And so he's basically driving around the country, and his friend calls him and says, I need you to help with one last job because it's somebody that I know. And they've lost their daughter, or their daughter has gone missing. And the daughter is Maggie St. James, and she's this grown woman, so she's not like a young daughter. But she is an author to these children's books that are dark, and some things have happened because of the reception of these children's books. A lot of children who have read these books have gone off in search of this magical world that she's described, and one child, I think, died because of hypothermia or something like that, being out in the woods. So she has ran off and nobody can find her, and there's no trace of her. So they ask Travis to search for her, and the clue that is given to him is this place called Pastoral. I feel like overall the pacing of this was pretty slow. It's a slow mystery slash thriller. It's definitely not a quick one. And I didn't mind that so much because I loved the setting. I loved the atmosphere. It's an incredibly atmospheric story. And although it's not a gothic story, it kind of has the vibes of that because of the atmosphere. So that was one of the things that I was loving about it, because I tend to really like those types of stories. And I did end up figuring out what was going on. Not completely, not the exact thing that was happening, but I did end up figuring out a good portion of the twist. And that doesn't usually bother me when it comes to books, but I will say for this, as much as I was enjoying it for the last 2/3, maybe 3/4, I was really enjoying it. I was pulled into it. I love the audiobook. I was very intrigued. I kind of fell out of interest. Like, I started losing interest towards the end. I started losing steam, and I
went longer and longer periods without listening to it. I just wasn't as excited to get back to it. It was kind of strange that that happened. And so it did bring my rating down. So I probably would have given this at least a 4-star before that last third of the story. Now I'm still giving it a 3.75, which is a good rating for me because that's above average, because I did enjoy so much about this and I still found it interesting overall. So if you're looking for something a little more slow paced but very atmospheric, and you like a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of a twist here and there, it's not an extreme twist, but it is an enjoyable read. So I would recommend it if that sounds interesting to you.
Okay, so I was cleaning and organizing. That's why you'll see stuff on my table back there, because I'm working on just summertime cleaning. That's what I'm doing, the summertime cleaning. And I found a bag of books that I completely forgot about. That I bought these books when I was at Target one day. They were having what I thought was an amazing sale, and it didn't end up being that amazing. And most of the time I'm pretty good when it comes to buying books. I'm just not a willy-nilly just buy a whole bunch of books kind of person. That day was different. I bought a lot of books that I didn't really have any intention of buying. Not that I'm not excited about these books, just that I didn't have any intention of buying these. And they were at Target. Everything seemed like it was on sale for these amazing prices. And I started buying. And this was, I don't regret it. But like I said, I'm usually a little more thoughtful when it comes to book purchasing. And that day I wasn't. So let's talk about these books. Let's talk about these books that I completely forgot about too. They were in a Target bag, just sitting with some of the stuff that I haven't gone through recently. And I'm excited to read these. I am excited to read them. I just don't know when I'm going to get a chance to read them. So the first one is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I have been interested in this book for a while. I've been interested in trying out Maggie O'Farrell's writing, and I do have Hamnet on my 45 before 45, so I'm going to be reading that at some point in the next 5 years, and hopefully I'll read this one as well, because now I have it and I've heard great things. I mean, I have heard some not so great things from some people, but for the most part I've heard really good things about this, and I'm very interested in Maggie O'Farrell's take on historical fiction, because I have heard that she has a very unique writing style. So I'm looking forward to this one. The next one is the first in a series that I have been interested in reading for a very long time. And this is one where almost everybody I've heard talk about it has loved it. So I don't regret picking this up. I just probably didn't need to pick it up right now. And that's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Pretty much everyone I've talked to has loved it, and I do want to get to it. I really want to see what this is all about, what all the hype is. This next one I picked up, I'm actually really excited I picked it up, because I have been looking forward to reading more T.J. Klune's writing, and I loved House in the Cerulean Sea. So that is Under the Whispering Door. I heard that it's a lot about sorrow, and I tend to like books that have sad elements to them, but also make you feel kind of warm and fuzzy. And T.J. Klune often does that with his writing. So I'm looking forward to Under the Whispering Door. The next one is one where I'm like, why did I pick this one up? I think what it was is that I really like these new editions, these new covers. I think these covers are gorgeous. I'm really into it. And since I just finished a Sarah J. Maas book, I have enjoyed her writing. I do feel like I will read more of her books. So I had picked up Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas because this was a cover by. I just really think this is a beautiful cover, and I do want to read this series at some point. So I mean, like, I'm not disappointed, but I really didn't need to pick this up. But hopefully it will be amazing, and I will feel like, yes, okay, great. I'm glad that I am starting to cultivate this particular series. The next one is one that I'm very excited that I have, because I've been wanting to read this at some point because of how much I love Song of Achilles. Part of me thinks I might already own this. I'm kind of wondering if Mom has a copy of this. And that's Circe by Madeline Miller. I have heard people say that they love this even more than Song of Achilles, and people who didn't love Song of Achilles loved this one. So I imagine that it will be fantastic and that I'm gonna love it. I really liked Madeline Miller's writing style. I think she did a great job retelling, reimagining these mythological stories, and I've been enjoying mythology a lot lately, so I'm hoping to get to this sooner rather than later. I'm hoping that this isn't a duplicate and that I don't already own it. I'll double check. And this last one, I'm kind of surprised at myself, to be honest, because I don't really think I had too much interest in it beforehand, and that is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I just think this is a beautiful book. Not only that, but I kind of feel like this might be sort of cozy in what I'm going to get from it. A nice way to get into Brandon Sanderson, but not have to read part of his whole series. Like, I do want to read his series, but I know that it's going to be a big investment of time, and I'm trying to read Robin Hobb before I do that. So I figure, like, if I want a little taste of Brandon Sanderson, aside from what I plan on reading with Skyward, his YA sci-fi, I thought that this would be a fun little dip my toe into Brandon Sanderson's writing, and it's a nice little standalone book. And I think that look at these are so beautiful. And then this picture, look how pretty. That is so stunning. So yeah, another cover buy. It was a cover buy. I was in a retail therapy mood. You know, I just needed to buy books, and a lot of books that I've been excited about for a while, and some of them that I was just attracted to. So that's that. There's nothing wrong with buying books. I'm not saying that. It's just strange for me because I usually have a lot of intention behind the books that I pick up. So anyways, this was a lot of fun though, and I am going to be reading all of these, and I am excited to read these. So I can't say I regret it at all, just that it was like, oh, that's strange.
Okay, so we have this garden area where we basically have just been throwing all our compost, which is terrible, but it's true. And some things have grown, like this has grown. I don't know what it is. It's covered in dust right now. But then all of these, which I thought was potato plants, my aunt and I both thought it was potato plants. All of these were growing. They were really tall for a while and looked really good. Now they're looking kind of sad. So anyways, I just decided to pull one of them out to see what would come from it. And look, I got little potatoes. So they actually were from the red potatoes that we've thrown into our compost, like the little pieces, the scraps and stuff. And I have a ton of them here. At the base of each of these will be some red potatoes. So apparently I've been inadvertently growing red potatoes. It's exciting. Okay, so the next part of this video might seem like a strange jump because we're jumping into our quest from Orilium for the spring equinox. However, if you had a chance to check out my Orilium time blocking, my summer courses that I took, you'll know that Mom and I were working on trying to fulfill the quests. So if you'd like to see those and know where this came from, I will link the second video in that series because that's where we started this quest. And then this is where we're continuing it. And I will be continuing these quests in my Sunday sum up because I didn't get them done during my summer courses, but we were doing them as field studies, which was separate from the time blocking element. So just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. Okay, so we have done it. We have finished the first part of our quest. We've accepted our challenge to help Auburn Bluewing. And for that, we had to read a book that had the word night in the title or nighttime on the cover. And I picked When You Trap a Tiger by Tay Keller, and you picked
Station 11 by someone.
Emily St. John Mandel. Emily St. John Mandel?
Yeah, I think so.
I am going to save my review for this a little bit later because I still haven't quite figured out how I feel about this and how I want to rate it. I was sobbing at the end of this, but there were so many times that I was reading this that I was able to put it down, and that like the storyline itself was not pulling me in. And yet the emotional moments of this were so emotional all the time that like they hit hard every single time. So it was a strange experience. Once you have finished this prompt, go to the Alchemy Classroom folder. Awards you 10 guild awards you 10 guild what is it?
10 guild reputation points.
We have 10 points each.
Yay!
Okay,
I
so
have to go to the alchemy folder.
The alchemy corridors are so eerily silent at night. You try to be as quiet as you can, but your light footsteps echo still. You summon a small flame, cupping it between your hands to see a bit better. You almost stumble over a fallen armor set. Ah! Because your hood makes it hard to see. At last you reach the alchemy tower and find the door to the alchemy theater. You can still hear the enchanted cauldrons bubble, but the room lacks the usual fire crackling and frantic scribbling noises that you are so accustomed to. Ah, you're here. You got my note. Good. As you sit down, the professor explains that he comes from a very competitive line of mages who did not take it well when he quit their alchemy family business due to its somewhat unsavory nature. Occasionally, one of them tries to sabotage his career here at Orilium Academy in an attempt to force him to return. It seems like his brother has sent a letter to the elders that would accomplish just that. However, the contents are unknown. Auburn knows the courier will be staying at the Wild Moon Inn, but it is likely that they would recognize him if he went himself, and the art of illusion has never been his strongest suit. You do the art of illusion.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not
I
my
might be able to have
suit.
to go and steal that letter.
You might have to. Would you be willing to go and intercept this letter for us?
Oh, yes, I would.
I'm sure another will be sent, but we can read and know the nature of this fowlery to make sure no evidence can actually be tied to me.
Fowlery.
he looks exhausted, but speaks casually. You get a feeling this happens far too often. How annoying to have that kind of a family. I have no intention of ever joining them, but they seem to be under the false belief that if I am left with no other choice, I would. I hate to ask you this, but I need someone I can trust. It cannot hurt to investigate.
Okay.
to finish talking to the professor, the prompt is read a majority of the book with the Alchemy Theater ambiance room in the background. When completed, this awards you 10 guild I can't say that word. Reputation
points. Another 10. We could earn another 10 if we read with the Alchemy Theater ambience.
And once we're done, then we head to the Wild Moon Inn. Okay, I think we made our choices. What are you gonna do?
So I'm going to read Quinn by Iris Johansson. This is a series that I've been reading. This is probably book, I don't know. I can't tell you right now. I'm probably 13 or 14 books into the series, and it's probably 30 books in there. The main character in this series is Eve Duncan, and she dates Joe Quinn. So the last book I just read was called Eve. This one's called Quinn, and it's kind of telling their life stories. I mean, we're 13 books into the series and we're finally finding out more about the main characters, but they're within this whole thing. These books are driven by the fact that her child was kidnapped and killed at the age of 7. She wants to find the body and bring it home is what she wants to do. And in the meantime, she has become a famous sculptor of skulls. She can take a young children's skull and reimagine it so that they can find out who the kid is. And so her life's work is bringing children home that have been, taken from their parents and assassinated.
Yeah, that's
killed.
a rough one.
It's been hard. I stopped reading it for a while because I'm also reading Scarpetta books, which are also serial killer books. These are serial killer books, and I keep thinking, why do I like these killer books? But the writers
They're thrillers.
Yeah, they're thrillers, and the writers are so good, and it keeps your attention. I can't put them down, even though sometimes I'm sick to my stomach. But I'm going to read Quinn by the screen.
So we have to make sure we play the ambiance video, which we've actually played a lot. And I'm going to be reading A Rover Story by Jasmine Warga. I loved Jasmine Warga's Other Words for Home. I thought it was an incredible book. I gave it 5 stars. And because When You Trap a Tiger gave me such mixed feelings, I want to read a middle grade at the moment that will just pull me in and make me just love it. And I've heard great things about A Rover Story. I think it'll be fun because it's sci-fi. Everybody is talking about this one. It's all the rage, not only on BookTube, but also in the schools. People are just talking about A Rover Story. So
Kids love it?
Oh yeah, like everybody loves this book. So I can't wait to read it, and I can't wait to see how I feel. And hopefully I know definitively what I feel about it, because I feel like right now I don't know what I feel about books. I'm a little sick too, so it could be just my brain is having some issues at the moment. So we'll let you know when we finish talking to the professor.
So for some reason we have to read before we can go
to the
steal
end.
into the
We have
inn
to
and
finish-
get that piece of...
We have to earn our conversation with the professor. He's kind of full of himself, isn't he? Okay, so it is late. It's like 11 p.m. But we have both finished our books. I finished The Rover Story, and you finished
Quinn.
And the whole time we had that ambiance room playing.
Yes, we had our professor out there watching us read.
And I just couldn't wait until we found out the next part of our adventure.
Yeah, I was ready to go to bed. Excuse me.
We're not going to review them right now because I'm just like...
Amy says, no, I want to know what our next book is. So, okay, we'll check.
You head to the Wild Moon Inn, which, despite the late hour, hey, that's perfect, still has a few patrons sat in the booths. The innkeeper is polishing the glasses as his cat tries to catch the corner of his cloth. There are 7 groups scattered around. A few look to be cheerily chatting and drinking, clearly students. And Illyrian and Skymore, Mom says Skymore, deep in discussion. You recognize them as your professors. This leaves but 3 figures that are a little out of place. Who are they? Okay, so there's a cloaked figure in the corner scribbling away, and there's a small imp at their feet. A loud patron, clearly in their cups, sing-shouting to the bard's tune, waving his tankard ales, spilling out. And finally, a studious-looking elf holding their bag close to their chest, eyes flitting across everyone, posture guarded, impatiently tapping their foot, glancing at their watch. Do you want to approach the cloaked figure who's scribbling away and has a cute little imp playing with yarn? Do you want to approach the loud patron who's singing, or do you want to approach the studious-looking elf who's very suspicious?
I want the studious-looking elf. I want him because he's looking around trying to find me.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who am I approaching? Who would my character approach? She'd probably be interested in the guy with the imp. So, we will go with yours first.
Yes, because I'm very serious, and I picked the serious guy.
Okay. Tense Scholar. You approach the tense-looking elf who appears to be waiting for someone. As you walk closer, you can see them adjusting themselves and leaning forward conspiratorially. They glance around, lowering their voice further. Are you here for the goods? They reach into their bag they kept so close to their chest. You can hear a distant noise of parchment. Could this be the letter? They don't seem to be very experienced at whatever they are doing because their hands are visibly shaking. There are sweat beads forming on their forehead. It is clear they want this over and done with.
Okay.
Told you they're suspicious. Choices, pick one.
Pretend that you're the person they were meant to meet to see where this goes. Prompt, read the most recently acquired book. Or, this seems suspicious. You don't reveal anything about yourself and ask to see the goods instead. Prompt, a book you don't know much about.
He's holding on to a bag, and there sounds like there's parchment in there. We were trying to get this letter before it went to the school so this teacher wouldn't get fired or, taken away. So I'm suspicious, so I'm going to probably read a book that I don't know much about.
Okay, for me...
You approach the cloaked figure. The person is so focused on their project they don't even notice you at first. You spot a bunch of parchment sheets underneath their satchel. Could one of those be the letter? The little forest imp runs up to you and starts pinching at your ankles and giggling. This alerts the stranger to your presence. I don't like being pinched. They look up with a puzzled expression. You need to get to those sheets. What do you do?
First, I can subtly cast a frenzy spell on the imp, sending it into a teeny chaotic rampage, while the cloaked figure attempts to pry the screeching imp from the wall fixtures that rummage through their sheets and pockets.
You rummage.
Oh, well, you rummage through their sheets and pockets. Prompt, read a book next to your nearest lamp light fixture. What? That's weird. Or you kneel down and offer to shake the imp's little hand, which amuses it greatly. You use this as an opening to start a conversation with the cloaked figure, who soon warms up to you and becomes enthusiastic about his research. Prompt, book from your lowest shelf. I don't know if I like either of these.
They both seem kind of fun.
I mean-
Nearest lamp light fixture or your bottom shelf. What's your lowest shelf? You have several bottom shelves.
You know what? I'm going to think about it. I'm sure you're going to be thinking about it as well. And we will come back tomorrow with what we want to do for our prompts. And we'll see what happens.
Mine was pretty straightforward.
I know.
You don't know which one you want to do yet.
I know, because it all depends on... I mean, I don't really want to go with one of the ones on my lowest shelves because I want to read a book off my TBR card. I don't want to read a book off of a random shelf.
Ah. Well, then do that.
But so like the one that's closest to this lamp, I'm not supposed to read till next month. The one that's closest to this one is just a book about making drinks. Okay, so we had all night to think about it. Well, I had to think about it because I decided that I was going to choose for Mom because she needs a book she doesn't know anything about. And she doesn't know anything about most of the books on my shelves. And so I picked her one. What did I pick you?
Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I'm excited. I have read some Brandon Sanderson, so this will be good. I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's science fiction. That girl looks pretty scary there.
It's sci-fi.
Oh, sci-fi. Okay, good.
You haven't been in the mood for fantasy lately. This is YA sci-fi, so I figure you might enjoy that. It'll probably be a quick, fun read for her. But I know you don't know anything. Don't read it. You're supposed to not know anything about it.
Oops. Sorry, I didn't read that.
Is it what?
Is it a series?
Yeah, it is a series.
Okay.
So then maybe you should just continue on the series after that.
We'll see.
I had those two options. The first one was to make the imp go in a frenzy, and then I would have to pick a book where it was closest to the light. Or the second one was to befriend the imp, and that would cause the gentleman to trust me. And I was thinking about Cal Lily, and one of the biggest intentions she has being a necromancer is to gain trust, because necromancers have such a bad reputation. So she's been working really hard to further on her study in necromancy, but also to gain the trust of people, because not all necromancers are bad. Okay. So because of that, I decided to befriend the imp.
Oh, okay.
And pick a book from my lowest shelf. So it's a book that's not on my TBR right now. But, we're going on vacation this next week, so I thought it's kind of a nice vacation book too. And so I'm picking Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood. This was a gift from Natalie from Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe, and I got it a while ago. So it's about time. I've been trying to get to more of my gifts, and I feel like a romance. So,
romances are fun on vacation.
So yeah, I think this will be a great one, and I probably won't be able to get it done as quickly as I did the one yesterday, just because...
Yeah, we both read one book in one day, and that isn't normal.
We were just plowing. But I have other books I do need to read, and we have a lot to do this week before we go on our road trip. And I'm feeling better. So yesterday I was not feeling well. I still have a bit of a tickle and stuff in my throat, but I'm feeling a lot better.
It's not hurting?
It hurts a little bit, but not like bad. So I need to do other stuff. Like, as much as I would love to just read, I actually have to get stuff published. So those will be our next part of the quest.
Yay!
Okay, so at the moment, this is as far as we're going to go with this Sunday sum up. So stick around, because next week, hopefully I'll be able to get into the footage where I show you the road trip that I went on. That was a blast. And now I'm in Ohio, so I'm hoping to get some footage from here, but that might be a couple weeks out. I just hope that I get caught up on my Sunday sum ups. As far as my current reading goes, I just finished Strange Case of the Alchemist Daughter by Theodora Goss. Took me long enough. I was supposed to finish it in July, but we're halfway through August. I'm done. So that review will be with you either next week or the week after. And then I just started Life on the Mississippi by Mark Twain. I'm only a couple of pages in, so I can't really talk too much about that one at this point. And then the audiobook I've been working through for a little while now, but I only really listen to it when I'm in the car, and that's Jameela Green Ruins Everything by Zarqa Nawaz. And I'm enjoying that one. The audiobook is so good in some ways, and yet the British accents are so bad. so bad that like I cringe every time we get to those parts. Aside from that, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. And so I can't wait to talk about that one eventually when I finish it, which probably won't be till I get back home to Washington. So that's pretty much it for me for right now. Let me know in the comment section down below what you've been reading lately. I'd love to hear from you. I feel like I've been just doing random things lately and I've been on a lot of vacations, so I don't know what's going on with you. So let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens when I edit some more. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later.